5 minutes ago. Queen Son Ye-jin appeared in style, and Hyun Bin's reaction shocked everyone. What exactly happened on that red carpet? Was it just another celebrity moment, or the beginning of something much bigger? Let's uncover the truth right now, only on Red Carpet Revealed. It all happened just 5 minutes ago, but the world is already buzzing. The flash of cameras, the flurry of whispers, the collective gasp from onlookers. It was a moment no one saw coming, a moment that instantly turned into a modern fairy tale drenched in glamour, emotion, and a shock no one expected. Queen Son Ye-jin, known not just for her beauty but for her ethereal presence, made her appearance on the red carpet tonight, and it was nothing short of breathtaking. But what truly sent shockwaves across the media and fans worldwide wasn't just her return, it was the reaction of one man. Hyun Bin. As she stepped out of the sleek, black vehicle with elegance that only she could carry, the atmosphere froze. Dressed in a flowing, pearl-white custom gown by Ellie Saab, with diamond earrings that shimmered like icicles under the floodlights, Son Ye-jin walked forward as if the world was hers to command. Her hair was swept into a low chignon, her makeup flawless but minimal, allowing her raw aura to shine through. She didn't wave. He didn't smile right away. She simply looked forward, until she saw him. Hyun Bin had arrived just moments earlier, hidden beneath the commotion of other stars. Wearing a perfectly tailored black velvet tuxedo and a subdued expression, he was doing what he's always done best, moving quietly through the chaos, graceful yet unreadable. That is, until she appeared. Until the queen stood in front of him, and everything in his expression crumbled. No one expected them to cross paths tonight. The event was international, a joint film gala held at the Four Seasons Seoul, co-hosted by Netflix and the Busan International Film Festival to celebrate the growing global influence of Korean cinema. Both were invited, neither confirmed. And certainly, no one anticipated they would show up at the exact same time. The photographers were the first to realize what was unfolding. The flashes increased tenfold, capturing every inch of her gown, every second of her poised stride, and every blink, breath, and twitch of Hyun Bin's face. Reaction wasn't loud. He didn't say a word, but his eyes widened, his lips parted slightly, and for a second, just a single second, he took a step back. Not out of fear, not out of discomfort, but out of overwhelming, raw emotion. Out, sensing something extraordinary, fell silent. It was the kind of silence that only comes when history is being made, when two people become symbols of something greater than themselves. They had once been Korea's most admired couple. Their wedding, their baby, their brief yet beloved family life, it all came rushing back in that quiet second. The tension between them was palpable. But it wasn't bitter. It wasn't cold. It was charged, electric, and painfully human. They hadn't been seen together publicly for months. Rumors of separation had been swirling. Some tabloids whispered of long-distance strain, others speculated conflicting schedules, and a few brave headlines even suggested that love had faded. But nothing had been confirmed. Nothing had been denied. It was as if they had both chosen silence over spectacle, privacy over performance. Until now. Son Ye-jin walked past the first set of cameras. Heels echoing gently against the red carpet, every click of the shutter felt like a heartbeat. The reporters were too stunned to shout questions. She made eye contact with none of them, except one. Him. As she reached the spotlight zone, where celebrities usually stop to pose, she paused. She turned slightly, her gaze scanning the crowd, and then it happened, her eyes met Hyun Bin's. Moment was caught from 6 different angles by photographers who would later sell the shot for astronomical amounts. But no picture could fully capture the intensity of that exchange. Her expression softened, almost imperceptibly. His jaw clenched, and though they stood at least 30 feet apart, the space between them felt intimate, like an entire universe had collapsed into that glance. Backstage murmurs began almost instantly. Staff members, fellow actors, even the coordinators whispered, "Did you see that? Did they just?" Social media caught wind of it within minutes. On Twitter, hashtags like #BinJinMoment and #Ye-Jin-is-back started trending. One fan account posted a slow-motion clip of Hyun Bin's reaction with a caption, "Find someone who looks at you the way Hyun Bin just looked at Ye-Jin. He didn't move toward her. He didn't speak, but the tremor in his hand, by a zoomed-in shot from a Japanese broadcaster, spoke volumes. For a man known for his composure, for his ability to remain dignified in the most chaotic of situations, that 1 second of vulnerability was louder than any declaration. What was he thinking? Was it regret? Love? Longing? Or was it a moment of clarity, a realization of something lost? Or perhaps something still lingering? The public was desperate to know. Some speculated that this was their first meeting after months of distance. Others believed they had seen each other in private, and this was simply the first public collision. A few more dramatic corners of the internet insisted that their marriage had quietly ended, and tonight's interaction was their final act of closure. Amidst all the noise, all the analysis and amateur lip reading, there was something sacred about that moment. Neither of them played to the cameras. Neither of them smiled for effect. They simply existed in a space of rawness that few celebrities allowed the world to see. And for those brief minutes, all of Korea, and much of Asia, watched in collective breathlessness. When Son Ye-jin finally turned away, she did so with grace, not hesitation. Her gaze lingered for just a second longer before she smiled, her first real smile of the evening, and moved on. It was the kind of smile that carried 1,000 stories, the kind of smile you give when you know you're being watched by someone who once knew your soul. Hyun Bin, too, regained his composure. He adjusted his jacket, nodded politely to a nearby photographer, and stepped forward into his own photo moment. But something about him had changed. The rigid line of his posture was softer. His eyes no longer darted around, but instead remained focused, grounded, as if the Queen's arrival had centered him. Insiders at the event later revealed that the two did not sit near each other during the main ceremony. However, several sources confirmed that there was a private reception later in the evening, and both were invited. Whether they spoke during that time remains unknown, but according to one anonymous source, they shared a glass of wine, just the two of them. No cameras. That alone was enough to send fan communities spiraling. On online forums, fans created theories, timelines, decoding each micro-expression from tonight. Some claimed it was a sign of reconciliation. Others urged respect for their privacy, reminding fellow netizens that not everything needed to be interpreted as romance. But no matter the opinions, the impact was undeniable. The red carpet tonight was supposed to be about films, premieres, and global streaming platforms. Instead, it became a stage for something entirely different, a silent emotional storm between two people whose love story had captivated a nation. The editors of major magazines scrambled to adjust their covers. Vogue Korea posted a poll: should we dedicate the next cover to Ye-jin's comeback look? Elle Taiwan wrote an emergency editorial titled, "The Return of Korea's Grace, What Ye-jin's Look Tells Us About Power and Poise." Dispatch posted 5 different headlines in an hour. And then there was the moment that would go viral beyond all others, a split image. On the left, Son Ye-jin stepping onto the carpet, going with quiet power. On the right, Hyun Bin's stunned expression as he watched her. Underneath, the caption read, "You don't need words when the heart remembers." What made tonight so unforgettable wasn't drama. It wasn't scandal. It was the rare, taking experience of witnessing two icons let down their walls, if only for a moment. It reminded fans that beyond the glitz, press releases, the curated posts and brand deals, there are still real people, real stories, real emotions behind the curtain. And perhaps, just perhaps, the fairy tale isn't over yet. The buzz had barely begun to settle when speculation reached fever pitch. Within hours of the event, a media outlet from Seoul to Singapore was chasing the same question: what did Hyun Bin's reaction really mean? Social media exploded. On Twitter, over 4 million mentions of #Son Ye-jin and #Hyun Bin flooded global trends. On Weibo, fan cams were dissected frame by frame, with hashtags translating to Bin-jin reunion reaching over 120 million views in 12 hours. TikTok was flooded with slowed down clips of the eye contact that stopped the world. One video, titled "When Your Heart Remembers Before Your Brain Does," racked up 18 million views in a single day. But while the internet theorized, the stars themselves remained silent. No press releases, no clarifying posts, not a single word from either Hyun Bin or Son Ye-jin. And in that silence, the intrigue only deepened. Next morning, Korean news programs dedicated special segments to the red carpet moment. Entertainment panels invited stylists, body language experts, even lip-reading consultants to offer their opinions. Expert claimed, Hyun Bin's micro-expression, specifically the jaw flex followed by an eye flutter, is a classic physiological response to suppressed emotion. That was not rehearsed. That was raw. Others were more skeptical. It could be as simple as surprise. Pop culture columnists suggested, they're two professionals who happen to show up at the same place. Sometimes a look is just a look. Still, there were too many coincidences to ignore. An anonymous source from the event's organizing team leaked that Son Ye-jin's RSVP had been received only 24 hours before the event. She had initially declined. Likewise, Hyun Bin was added to the guest list less than 48 hours prior. The implication? Neither had planned to attend, until they knew the other might. Backstage staff offered conflicting accounts. One crew member insisted the two didn't cross paths at all once inside. Another swore they spoke briefly during a behind-the-scenes lull in programming. She touched his wrist, the source claimed, just for a second. Like a reminder, or maybe a farewell. Yet despite all the whispers, neither camp responded to media requests. Their agencies issued only a generic no comment. As the official story remained blank, the public began writing its own. Fan forums turned into archives. From high-definition photos to press conference screenshots from years ago, netizens pieced together timelines, searching for meaning in every past interaction. Look at how he used to smile when she spoke, one post read. He never smiles like that with anyone else. Others pointed out Hyun Bin's hand position, how he clasped it in front of him that night, something he only does when nervous. An image from their wedding day went viral, the same hand position, the same look, the same heart. Meanwhile, an entirely different narrative began to rise, one less romantic, more painful. Some speculated that the red carpet meeting was the result of unresolved tension, perhaps even a chance for closure. But if this wasn't a beginning, but the end? A blogger wrote, final goodbye dressed in diamonds and velvet. Adding fuel to the emotional wildfire was a short behind-the-scenes video released by a Japanese broadcasting crew that had covered the event. The 17-second clip showed Son Ye-jin walking past a hallway backstage, where Hyun Bin stood, speaking quietly with his manager. For a brief moment, she turned her head, slowed her step, and then kept walking. No words were exchanged. No gestures made. But the silence between them screamed louder than any confrontation. Later that evening, Son Ye-jin's stylist posted an Instagram story of the gown she wore, captioned simply, "Royal, even when broken." The post was deleted within minutes but not before thousands of fans screenshotted and reposted it. Was it a message? A subtle acknowledgement of what she was feeling beneath the flawless image? 2 days later, Hyun Bin was spotted at Incheon Airport, reportedly en route to a private schedule in Japan. Paparazzi captured him wearing sunglasses and a mask, head lowered, hands in his coat pockets. One photo showed him holding what appeared to be a note folded twice and gripped tightly in his palm. Son Ye-jin, on the other hand, remained in Seoul. She was seen visiting a gallery the next morning with her longtime friend and fellow actress Gong Hyo-jin. Though smiling faintly, her expression carried a stillness that fans recognized. "Looks composed," one fan commented, "but not at peace." And then came the unexpected twist. Son Ye-jin agreed to a one-on-one interview with Vogue Korea, scheduled for release 3 weeks after the event. It was said to be focused on her return to cinema, but insiders hinted that it might contain references to that moment. When the interview finally dropped, it was clear that every word had been chosen with care. Beautifully written piece titled Rebirth in Motion, she spoke of love, of time, of silence. Sometimes the things that aren't said, she wrote, carry the loudest meanings. And sometimes, the person who makes you speechless is the one who has known your soul the longest. She didn't mention Hyun Bin by name. He didn't need to. The public read between the lines. Fandom wept. And for a moment, the noise faded, replaced by something gentler. Something hopeful. There is something magical about two people who, in the absence of confirmation, continue to echo through each other's lives. Son Ye-jin and Hyun Bin have become that for millions, a pair of souls entangled not just by romance, but by grace, memory, and a kind of cosmic poetry that can't be undone by time or tabloids. In the days that followed, both returned to their projects. She resumed filming a new drama in Seoul, flew to Okinawa for a photo shoot. Neither commented further. But the internet remained haunted by one single image, the one where they looked at each other with eyes that remembered everything and said nothing. And maybe that's all we ever needed. Not a press release. Not a staged reunion. Just one look. Just 5 seconds. Just two people who once loved each other in full view of the world, and reminded us all, 5 minutes ago, that sometimes the heart speaks loudest in silence. The